Hello and welcome to the Cardiff Devils online quiz with me, Ollie Hampson. We've got a couple of special guests joining us throughout today's show, but thank you very much for joining us here on the Cardiff Devils YouTube channel. We're here right now at the Viola Arena, somewhere that we really hope we can welcome all of you back to in the not too distant future when the time is right to do so. But for now, we've got the quiz, 5 rounds, 5 questions, 5 points per round. And to kick things off, going straight into round 1, the Cardiff Devils 2019-20 season round, please welcome the Devils' very own Katrina Williams.
So the first competitive game of the season for the Cardiff Devils was against Mountfield HK on August the 30th, 2019. But which player scored the Devils' first goal that day? Was it A, Blair Riley, B, Mike McNamee, C, Charles Langley, or D, Matt Pope? Okay, question 2. When the regular season was brought to an end, Joey Haddad led the team in goals, but who led the team in assists? Was it A, Sean McMonagle, B, Gleeson Fournier, C, Joey Martin, or D, Joey Haddad? Question 3. 2 players ended the regular season with 16 points. Sean Bentivoglio was one. Who was the other? Was it A, Mark Richardson, B, Matthew Myers, C, Sam Jardine, or D, Mosi Maramaki? Question 4. How many times this season did the Cardiff Devils score 5 or more goals in a game? Was it A, 12, B, 14, C, 16, or D, 18? Final question. Evan Mosey was only able to play in 9 total games this season, but how many points did he get? Some would say not enough. But here we go. Was it A, 6, B, 7, C, 8, D, 9? Now over to Ollie for the answers.
Thank you very much to Katrina for those questions. Let's go through some of the answers. Question 1 was who scored the first goal against Mountfield HK? The answer was A, Blair Riley. All 4 options got a point that night, but it was Blair Riley that scored the opening goal. Question 2, when the regular season was brought to an end, who led the Devils in assists? It was B, Gleeson Fournier. Joey Haddad nearly led the team in goals and assists, but it was Fournier with 47 on the year. Question 3 was 2 players ended the regular season with 16 points, Sean Bentivoglio being one. Who else joined him? The answer was A, Mark Richardson. Question 4, how many times did the Devils score 5 or more goals this season? The answer was D, 18 times. Devils love to score a lot of goals, especially in their last regular season game, scoring 7. Nothing else happened after that. We'll forget about that. Question 5, Evan Mosey only played 9 games this season because of his injury, but how many points did he finish with? It was B, 7 points on the year, and now he's back for next season. I'm sure that Devils fans are very excited to see how he fares once the new season begins. So now for round 2's questions, we're going to throw it over to a member of the Devils, the longest serving member of the Cardiff Devils. Please welcome Mark Richardson.
Question 1. The Cardiff Devils' first ever CHL game took place in what arena? A, Home Credit Arena, B, Vaillant Arena, C, Vida Arena, D. Viola Arena. Question 2. Who scored the Devils' first ever CHL goal? A. Joey Haddad, B. Matt Pope, C. Joey Martin, D. Patrick Asselin. Question 3. The Devils have visited Sweden in each of their 3 seasons. How many goals have they scored when playing in Sweden? Option A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, D, 7. Question 4. Sean McMonagle was the hero against the Graz 99ers this season with his shootout winning goal, but which round of the shootout did he score in? Option A, 6, B, 7, C, 8, D, 9. Question 5. The Cardiff Devils defeated the Vecchia Lakers 5-1 on October the 3rd, 2017. But which player was the only one to have more than 1 point that night? Option A, Jake Morissette, B, Andrew Hotham, C, Joey Martin, D, Sean Bentivolio. Now back to Ollie for the answers.
Thank you very much for those questions, Mark Richardson. We'll go straight into the answers. Cardiff Devils' first ever CHL game took place in what arena? It wasn't the Viola Arena because they started on the road in the Vaillant Arena in Davos, Switzerland. Bit of a tough game, 10-1 loss, HC Davos. But that will lead us straight into question 2. Who scored the Devils' first ever CHL goal in that 10-1 loss? It was C, Joey Martin getting the goal. Who else but the GOAT himself? Question 3, the Devils have visited Sweden in each of their 3 previous Champions Hockey League seasons, and they're about to do it again when they play Färjestad this season. But how many goals have they scored? The answer was B, 5. They've had some good times in Sweden. A lot of close games against Vecchia. Frölunda, bit of a tough ask, but 5 goals. Answer was B. Question 4, Sean McMonagle was the hero against the Graz 99ers, but which round of the shootout was his winning goal in? Surprisingly, it was the only goal of the shootout, and it came in B, round number 7. He had to contend with a bobbling puck to still pull that move to beat Christopher Nilstorp, but he managed to do it, and the Devils came away with the victory. Question 5, the Cardiff Devils beat the Vecchia Lakers at home 5-1, but which player was the only one to get more than 1 point that night? The points were shared around, but it was D, Sean Bentivolio, an assist on the opening goal and score in a second, was the only member of the team to put up more than 1 point that night. And now we'll move on to round 3, and for this one, please welcome Tom Murdy.
The first ever home game for the Cardiff Devils occurred on November 30th, 1986, where they won 32-0. But who did they beat? A, Telford Tigers, B, Deeside Dragons, C, Ashfield Islanders, D, Swindon Wildcats. The first league game played under current ownership with Andrew Lord as player-coach ended in a 3-2 overtime win over the Hull Stingrays, but who scored the winning goal? Jake Morissette, B, Joey Martin, C, Andrew Lord, D, Brent Walton. During the 2004-2005 NHL lockout, Rob Davison joined the Devils from which NHL team? A, New Jersey Devils, B, San Jose Sharks, C, Vancouver Canucks, D. New York Islanders. Steve Moria became a legend of the Cardiff Devils during his seasons with the club, first joining in 1988. Which club did he leave to join the Devils? A. Fife Flyers, B. Blackburn Hawks, C. Swindon Wildcats, D. Basingstoke Bison. How many jersey numbers have been retired by the Cardiff Devils? A. 5, B. 6, C. 7, D. 8. Now back to Ollie for the answers.
Thank you very much for those questions, nerds. We'll move straight into the answers. First one up was the Devils' first ever home game, November 30th, 1986. 32-0 win. Who did they beat? It was C, the Ashfield Islanders. Surprisingly though, that wasn't the biggest win of the Devils season. That would come later on in that season, a 40-0 win against the Telford Tornadoes. Question number 2. The first league game under the new ownership with Andrew Lord as the player coach ended 3-2 in favour of the Devils thanks to a overtime winner from who? The answer is A, Jake Morissette, the most successful captain in Cardiff Devils history, actually scored on a penalty shot to secure the win that night. Question number 3. During the 2004-2005 NHL lockout, Rob Davison joined the Cardiff Devils, but from which NHL team? It was B, the San Jose Sharks. Rob Davison now is actually an assistant coach in the AHL with the Toronto Marlies. Question number 4. Steve Moria became a Cardiff Devils legend during his days here, but which team did he leave to join the Devils in 1988? The answer is A, the Fife Flyers. Moria would play for all of those teams, but it was Fife that he joined first, spending 2 seasons with them between 1986 and 1988. And the last question in round 3, how many jerseys have the Cardiff Devils retired? It is 7. Doug McEwen, John Lawless, Jason Stone, Brian Dixon, Steve Moria, Brad Voth, and Shannon Hope. I know who my money is on to be the next one though. And with that, we'll move on to round 4. So please welcome the chef himself, Joey Haddad.
Which team has won the Stanley Cup the most times? The Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, the Boston Bruins, or the New York Rangers? Which player holds the record for most goals in their rookie season? Joe Nieuwendyk, Alex Ovechkin, Teemu Selanne, or Mike Bossy? Four players are tied for the record for fastest goal to start an NHL game at 5 seconds. But which former Cardiff Devil is one of those 4 men? Travis Brigley, Doug Smale, Ken Hodge Jr., or Russ Romanek? Who is the oldest player to ever play in an NHL game? Jaromir Jagr, Chris Chelios, Maurice Roberts, or Gordie Howe? Who led the NHL in points before the regular season was brought to an end last year? Brad Marchand, Artemi Panarin, Nate McKinnon, or Leon Draisaitl? Well, let's go back to Ollie for the answers.
Thank you very much to Joey Haddad for those questions. As always, we're just going to move straight into the answers. The most successful team in NHL history when it comes to Stanley Cup wins, with 24, is the Montreal Canadiens. That is option A. Question 2, which player holds the record for the most goals in their rookie season? It wasn't Joe Nieuwendyk, it wasn't Alex Ovechkin, and it wasn't Mike Bossy, which means it's C, Teemu Selanne was 76 in his first season with the Winnipeg Jets. Question 3, a bit of a Devils linked one here. Which former Cardiff Devil is one of 4 men to hold the record for the fastest goal from the start of an NHL game at 5 seconds? It is B, Doug Smale. 5 seconds it took him to score. He's tied with Brian Trottier, Merlin Phillips, and Alexander McGillney. Question number 4, who is the oldest ever NHL player? The answer at 52 years old is D, Gordie Howe. Maurice Roberts is the oldest ever goalie. Chris Chelios is the oldest ever defenseman, and Jaromir Jagr was 46 when he left the NHL, but he is still playing right now at the age of 48 in the Czech Republic. And the final question in round 4, who led the NHL in points when the regular season was brought to an end earlier this year? It was D, Leon Draisaitl, his second straight 100-plus point season with 110 points this year for the Edmonton Oilers. And with that, we'll move on to the final round. And it is with mixed emotions we introduce to you the former head coach of the Cardiff Devils, Andrew Lord.
Hey Devils fans, quiz night here. Heading into this season, how many teams will have featured in every installment of the Champions Hockey League since its launch in its current format in 2014? Letter A, or option A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, or D, 7. Question number 2, which player has the most points in a single Champions Hockey League season? A, Ryan Lash, B, Mathis Olim, C, Andreas Johnson, or D, Eric Gustafsson? Question 3, how many different countries will be represented in the 2020-21 Champions Hockey League season? A is 10, B 11, C 12, or D 13. Number 4, the Nottingham Panthers are the only EIHL team to make it out of the group stage, but who do they face against in the round of 16? It's a fun question for me to ask. A, TPS Turku, B, ZSC Lions, C, Mountfield HK, or D, SC Bern? Number 5, the final question. Only one team from outside of Sweden have won the Champions Hockey League. Can you name them? A, Karpat Oulu, B, Sparta Prague, C, JYP Jyväskylä, or D, Red Bull Munich? And now back to Ollie for the answers.
Thank you very much for that, Lordo, and best of luck to you in your new venture in the ECHL with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. I know we're all going to miss you, but we're all going to be watching your career very, very closely. Now, time for the answers. How many teams are entering their 7th season? Only 4 teams have been in every installment of the CHL since its launch in its current format in 2014. So the answer is A, EV Zug, Vienna Capitals, Tapara Tampere, and the Frölunda Indians. Question 2, which player has the most points in a single Champions Hockey League season? It's not Ryan Lash, he's the overall leader with 91 points in 60 games, but with 26 points in a single season, it is B, Mathis Olim. Question number 3, how many different countries will be represented in the upcoming season of the Champions Hockey League? It is D, 13 different countries, from Wales to Belarus, Finland to Italy. A lot of Europe are coming to play once again to try and be crowned CHL champions. Question number 4, and we're sorry for making you read this one, Lordo, because to be honest, the rest of the guys didn't want to do this round, so you had to read it. The Nottingham Panthers are the only EIHL team to get out of the group stage. Who did they play in the round of 16? They played 3 of these teams in the group stage, but it was the ZSC Lions that they would take on in the round of 16. And the final question of the quiz, only one team from outside of Sweden has been CHL champions. Can you name them? It is, of course, C, JYP Jyväskylä, winning against the Växjö Lakers to be the only team from outside of Sweden and the only team from Finland to win the CHL. So thank you very much for joining us for the Cardiff Devils quiz. Hopefully you've had fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. We are looking forward to seeing you back here at the Viola Arena when we can. But for now, stay tuned on the Cardiff Devils YouTube channel for more interviews, more news. Keep your eye on social media. There's going to be a lot more excitement coming, especially when a new coach, whoever that is announced. But for now, I've been Artie Hampson. Thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, we hope to see you here at the Viola Arena very, very soon.